What if the ground under your feet suddenly started shaking so hard that entire cities moved?
Today we explore every earthquake magnitude, from the tiniest tremor you never feel
To the most powerful earthquakes our planet can create. And wait until we reach magnitude 8.
because something even more dangerous than the earthquake itself can happen. Magnitude 0, the invisible shake. Every story about earthquakes begins at magnitude 0. At magnitude 0, the Earth moves just a tiny little bit.
So tiny that you cannot feel it at all.
Imagine a tiny ant walking across the ground. Now imagine that ant jumping once. That little jump is almost bigger than a magnitude 0 earthquake. That is how small it is. But something interesting happens. Even though people cannot feel it, scientists can still see it. They use special machines called seismographs. A seismograph is a machine that listens to the Earth. It is like a super-sensitive ear for the ground. If the Earth wiggles even a tiny bit, the machine notices. It draws little lines that move up and down. The lines show how much the Earth moved. But outside the lab, people are playing games, dogs are sleeping, kids are drawing pictures. Nobody notices, nothing falls, nothing shakes, nothing breaks. The Earth just moved a tiny, tiny bit, and then stopped. But deep under your feet, the Earth is always slowly moving.
And sometimes, those tiny movements turn into bigger ones.
Magnitude 1, the tiny wiggle. Every magnitude 1 earthquake is still very tiny. The Earth wiggles just a little bit more than before, but people still usually cannot feel it. Imagine you are sitting at a table. Now gently tap your finger once on the table. Tap. That tiny tap is a little like a magnitude 1 earthquake. The ground moves just a little.
But it is still too small for most people to notice.
Only the seismograph machines see it. Inside a science room somewhere, a machine might draw a tiny bump on the line. A scientist might look at the screen and say,
"Oh, another small earthquake." But outside, life goes on.
someone is eating breakfast, someone is riding a bike, someone is playing with toy dinosaurs. Nobody stops. Nobody runs outside. Because nobody feels it. The Earth just gave a small wiggle, like a puppy shaking its tail. Quick, small, and then it is over.
Did you know that thousands of tiny earthquakes happen every day on Earth?
Most of them are magnitude 1 or smaller. That means the planet is always moving a little bit. It's like the Earth is stretching its muscles. Scientists can still see these tiny earthquakes on their screens. Even when people feel nothing at all, the machines still know. The Earth moved again. Magnitude 2, the mini shake. Now the Earth moves a little more than before. A magnitude 2 earthquake is still very small, but this time some people might notice it. Not everyone feels it. Only people who are very still. They might suddenly feel something tiny, not a big shake. Just a soft little vibration, almost like a tiny buzz under their feet. It can feel similar to when a big truck drives past your house. Sometimes a window makes a tiny tick sound, but that's all. Nothing falls down, nothing breaks. Your toys stay on the shelf, your cup stays safely on the table. You can imagine the planet waking up in the morning. It stretches its arms. It stretches its legs. That little stretch is a lot like a magnitude 2 earthquake. Almost like the Earth saying, "Good morning, everyone." Then everything becomes quiet again. Sometimes animals notice it first. A dog might lift its head. A cat might open one sleepy eye. But scientists still see it clearly. On their screens, little lines wiggle up and down. Each wiggle means the Earth moved again. Even when everything feels calm, our planet is always slowly stretching and shifting. But these small earthquakes are just the beginning, because soon people all over the world will be able to feel it. Magnitude 3, the small rumble. Imagine you are sitting quietly in your house. Everything feels normal.
Then suddenly, you feel a small rumble under your feet.
Every magnitude 3 earthquake is where things start getting interesting. Now many people can feel it. Not everyone. But many people nearby might notice. You might feel a tiny rumble under your feet. Your chair might wiggle a little. Your bed might shake for a second. It can feel like someone gently bumped into the building. Or like someone upstairs dropped something heavy. Boom, then it stops. Most of the time, nothing breaks during a magnitude 3 earthquake. The shaking is still small, but now people notice. Someone might say, "Did you feel that?" Another person might say, I think that was an earthquake. The Earth is still just warming up, like a runner stretching before a race. Small shake, small rumble, then calm again. It's the Earth practicing its movements. Sometimes the rumble feels like a quick shiver in the ground. Your table might make a tiny sound. Your chair might wiggle for just 1 second. Then everything becomes quiet again. Some people look around the room. They might check their cup. They might look at the window. Everything is still in the same place. Nothing fell down. Nothing broke. The Earth just made a quick little rumble. Sometimes pets notice it too. A dog might tilt its head. A cat might look around the room. Then they go right back to sleep because the shaking is over very fast. Scientists watching their machines will see a bigger wiggle now. The lines on the screen jump up and down a little more. That tells them the Earth moved again, even though it was still a small earthquake. And this is still just a small earthquake. Because when we arrive, in a magnitude 5 earthquake, things start to fall. Magnitude 4, the noticeable shake. Now the Earth gives a shake that many people can feel. A magnitude 4 earthquake is stronger than the small ones before. This time people notice it right away. The ground shakes, glasses rattle, doors tremble, your bed wobbles, even toys on the shelf start to wiggle. Sometimes people hear a soft rumbling sound. It can sound a bit like thunder far away, or like a heavy truck rolling past outside, but most of the time buildings stay safe. Nothing big usually breaks. It is just a quick shake. You could imagine someone grabbing a big rug on the floor and giving it a quick tug. Everyone standing on that rug would wobble a little. That is a bit like how the ground feels. For a moment, the Earth almost seems to say, "Hey, did you feel that?" People often stop what they are doing. They look around the room. Some people step outside to check what happened. Others laugh a little because it felt surprising. Someone might say, "Wow, that was strange." Then the shaking stops. Sometimes small things keep moving for a moment. A spoon might wiggle on the table. A lamp might sway gently. A picture frame might swing slowly on the wall. But soon everything becomes still again. People check the room. They look at the table. They look at the floor. Everything is still in place. Nothing big has fallen. The Earth just gave a quick shake and then relaxed again. Meanwhile, scientists watching their machines see something interesting. The lines on their screens jump up and down more than before. Those bigger zigzag lines tell them the ground moves stronger this time. But it is still not a very dangerous earthquake, just a noticeable shake. But earthquakes can be much more powerful than this, and if that happens, buildings can start to crack. Magnitude 5, the strong shake. Now the shaking becomes much stronger, a magnitude 5 earthquake is big enough that almost everyone nearby can feel it. The ground may suddenly start to move, tables may shake, chairs may wobble. You might hear a deep rumbling sound coming from below. It can sound like thunder under the ground. Books might slide off shelves. Pictures on the wall may swing back and forth. Sometimes small things fall onto the floor. The shaking might last a few seconds, long enough that people notice right away. Some people grab a table. Some people hold onto a chair. Others stand still and wait for the shaking to stop. When the ground finally becomes quiet again, people often look around and ask, "Is everyone okay?" Most of the time, the answer is yes. People check their homes, they check their friends, they check their pets. Dogs may bark, cats may run and hide for a moment. Then everything slowly becomes calm again. But why did the Earth shake? Here's the surprising part. The ground under your feet is not one solid piece. It's actually broken into giant moving pieces. These pieces are called tectonic plates. These plates are like giant puzzle pieces that cover the whole planet. They move very slowly. So slowly that we cannot see them moving. But sometimes the plates get stuck. They push against each other. They push harder and harder. More pressure builds up. And suddenly, slip, the plates move. The ground shakes. And that shaking is called an earthquake. Scientists watching their machines see big zigzag lines on their screens. Those lines show that the Earth released a lot of energy this time, much more than the smaller earthquakes before. But this is nothing compared to what happens when earthquakes reach magnitude 7, because then entire cities can start to shake. Magnitude 6, the big shake. Now the Earth starts to shake very strongly. A magnitude 6 earthquake is much bigger than the ones before. When this happens, people feel it right away. The ground can jump and move under your feet. It can feel strange, almost like the floor suddenly became bouncy. Some people say it feels a little like standing on a trampoline. The shaking can last several seconds. During that time, many things might move. Chairs may slide, tables might shake. Lights hanging from the ceiling can swing back and forth. Cars parked outside may rock a little. Sometimes walls get small cracks. Old chimneys might fall. So yes, a magnitude 6 earthquake can cause damage. That is why engineers work very hard to make strong buildings. They design buildings that can bend a little. Why is that important? Because things that can bend are harder to break. Think about a tree in the wind. The tree moves and sways, but it does not snap easily. Now think about a dry stick. If you bend it, it breaks quickly. Buildings are safer when they can move a little with the shaking. They move with the earthquake instead of fighting it. When the ground finally stops moving, people often go outside. They check their homes. They check their neighbors. They ask, "Is everyone okay?" Most of the time, people are safe. Soon everything becomes quiet again. Scientists then study the earthquake carefully. They look at their machines. They want to learn more about how our amazing planet moves. Because the Earth is always moving under our feet. And even this isn't the most powerful earthquake our planet can produce, because something even bigger is coming. Magnitude 7, the very powerful earthquake. Imagine you are sitting in your living room. Maybe you're watching TV or playing a game. Suddenly your lamp starts swinging, your table begins to shake, and the floor under your feet starts moving like waves. Magnitude 7 earthquake is very powerful. Huge areas can feel it. Cities may shake strongly, roads can crack, bridges can break, buildings can collapse. The shaking can last 20 or even 30 seconds. And when the ground is moving under your feet, that feels like a very long time. It can feel like the whole world is wobbling. Imagine standing on a giant carpet. Now imagine someone grabbing that carpet and shaking it. Everyone standing on it would wobble around. That is similar to what a strong earthquake can feel like. Cars might rock back and forth. Streetlights may swing. Windows may rattle loudly. People might hold onto tables or door frames. Some people go outside to open spaces. Others stay low and protect their heads. The shaking can feel scary. But it does not last forever. Soon the ground becomes still again. After big earthquakes like this, rescue teams help people. They bring food, they help injured people, they fix roads and buildings. Communities work together to recover. Neighbors help neighbors. Friends help friends. People work together to rebuild. But the real danger sometimes lies after the earthquake. Because when earthquakes occur under the ocean, something else can happen. Magnitude 8, the giant. Now the earthquakes become truly enormous. A magnitude 8 earthquake releases a huge amount of energy. So much energy that entire regions can feel the shaking. Cities may shake hard. Tall buildings sway back and forth. Roads can bend or crack. Bridges may break. The ground itself can move in slow, powerful waves. Some people say it feels like standing on a boat in the ocean. The land rolls and moves under your feet. The shaking can last longer too, sometimes nearly a minute. And that can feel like a very long time. But something even bigger can happen if this kind of earthquake starts under the ocean. And this is where things get really dangerous. When the ocean floor suddenly jumps or moves, it pushes a huge amount of water upward. That movement can create something called a tsunami. A tsunami is not just a normal wave, it is a giant moving wall of water. Out in the deep ocean, the wave might not look very big. Ships sailing far away might not even notice it. But as the wave travels toward land, something changes. The water gets squeezed as the ocean becomes shallower. And then the wave grows, higher, bigger, stronger. When it reaches the shore, the water can rush onto land very quickly. Because of this, many countries have tsunami warning systems. Special sensors in the ocean watch for sudden movements. If a big earthquake happens, alarms can sound near the coast, sirens may ring, phones may send warning messages. People quickly move away from the beach and go to higher ground. They might go to hills, tall buildings, or safe shelters. Moving higher keeps people safe from the rising water. Remember when we said something even more dangerous could happen after an earthquake? Well, this is it. But even tsunamis aren't the most powerful thing earthquakes can cause. Because the biggest earthquakes... Magnitude 9, the planet shaker. Magnitude 9, earthquake is one of the strongest things the Earth can do. These earthquakes are very rare, but when they happen, the power is enormous. The ground can shake for several minutes, entire coastlines can move, islands can shift. Even the Earth itself can wobble just a tiny bit. In 2011, a magnitude 9 earthquake happened in Japan. The island actually moved several meters. Imagine your whole country sliding across the map. But here's something incredible. The giant earthquake in Japan in 2011 was so strong that it slightly changed the Earth's rotation. It even made the day on Earth just a tiny bit shorter. That is how powerful the Earth can be. But even after huge earthquakes, people rebuild, cities are repaired, homes are rebuilt, life continues. Because humans are very good at helping each other. And the Earth? It keeps moving. Now you might be wondering something. If magnitude 9 earthquakes are this powerful, could earthquakes ever reach magnitude 10? Magnitude 10, the imaginary megaquake. Now here is something interesting. Scientists say a magnitude 10 earthquake probably cannot happen on Earth. Why? Because the Earth's crust is not big enough to create one. So the biggest earthquakes we know are around magnitude 9, and that is already powerful enough to move coastlines, cities, and even parts of the planet itself. Every day the Earth moves, even when you are sleeping, even when you are eating breakfast, even when you are playing with toys. The Earth is still moving. That's because the ground under your feet is made of giant moving pieces called tectonic plates. They slowly slide, push, and bump into each other. And when they suddenly move, the ground shakes. That is an earthquake. So the next time you stand on the ground, remember this. Beneath your feet, an entire planet is always moving,